Okay, for this video, I want to cover the IRS Form 8300. This is used to report cash payments you receive as part of your trade or business that exceed $10,000 in any one transaction. Okay, so I've got an example 8300 in front of us that we'll walk through, and then I've also got a slide here that covers some of the rules and some of the high-level points, and then the fact pattern that we'll be working with. So the 8300, again, it's filed by a business if it receives cash or some type of cash equivalent and the payment exceeds $10,000 in that transaction. So if you're a business and you're selling consulting services, or you're a law firm and you're selling your time, right, legal services, if you have a client that pays you more than $10,000 to settle the invoice and it's in cash, you've got to file the 8300. This also applies to a business. So let's say they're selling some type of inventory product, right? They're selling, it's a hardware store that's selling lumber. If they have a contractor come in and buy $20,000 worth of lumber and you pay for that $20,000 in cash, an 8300 has got to be reported, right? And that's being reported by the business, not the person that pays the bill. It's by the individual or the business that's conducting their business, and they receive that as a payment. So what is considered cash? Well, the obvious stuff, right? U.S. and foreign currency and the cash bills and coins, right? So if somebody comes in and pays with a bunch of $100 bills, that's cash, right? If they pay it in quarters and you've got $20,000 worth of quarters, well, that's also a cash payment. And other types of non-bill related type cash includes things like cashier's checks, right? So if you get a cashier's check, money orders, bank drafts, traveler's checks, these all constitute cash if you get if they have a face value over $10,000. Right, so if you get a traveler's check for under that amount, then it's oddly enough not considered cash. It's only if it's over $10,000. What is cash not? Well, cash does not include personal checks, wire transfers, Zelle transfers, Venmo. All of these items are not considered cash. So if you pay your legal bill with a personal check, you actually write out a check for 15 grand or whatever it is. The business that receives that, the law firm, doesn't have to report that on an 8300. It's only if it's cash. Okay, so when do you need to file? Well, the 8300's got to be completed and filed by the 15th day after the date when you receive the cash in the business. Okay, very, very important. If you file it late, you're looking at some late filing penalties, just like a lot of other IRS types of forms. So what information is collected? Well, the first thing is figure out who paid you the amounts, right? So the filer must identify the person from whom they are receiving the cash. And it's important to verify the individual's identity, right? You're going to need to check their ID because this information's got to be reported on the 8300. And you should also get them to sign a Form W-9 because you're going to have to report their Social Security number also. Okay, so check their ID, get a driver's license or passport copy, and also get them to sign a Form W-9. And that'll make it easier when you have to complete the part on their Social Security number. So in part one here, let's jump over to the form so we can start walking through this. So part one, the fact pattern we're going to work with here is we have John. He pays his legal bills in cash, and so we're going to complete this on behalf of the law firm. So part one here we have John Smith, right? We have his Social Security number up here in the tax ID field, and then we have his date of birth, right? So all this information we should be pulling off of his driver's license. So the identifying document that we relied on was his driver's license, issued by Florida, and put the driver's license ID number there. Box 13 is the occupation of the individual, right? We should already know that. If not, ask them, okay? So part one, we've got that piece. So part three is where we provide information on the cash payment itself, okay? So the type of payment and the amounts. So if we look at part three here, we can see that, okay, box 28, enter the date the cash was received. Total cash received $12,000 in U.S. currency. And they do ask for additional information here on the structure of the amount. So they want to know how much of this $12,000, if any, was paid in $100 bills. Well, in this case, John paid the whole thing in hundreds, right? So $12,000 worth of the $12K there is in $100 bills. Now, obviously, foreign currency, if you paid in foreign currency, you would put that there in the country of issuer. And then, of course, if he did pay in cashier's checks, money orders, bank checks, traveler's checks, then those fields there would be completed for the amounts. Okay. And then in part 3, question 33, type of transaction, indicate what was the purpose of the payment. So, business services provided is obviously the most common one. Real property, again, it could happen, personal property. But in this case, we're going with business services and their legal services. Okay. And then part 4 is we provide information on the business itself. So get the name. I mean, you as the business owner, you'll have this, right? So your company name, EIN, address, and then you can either indicate yourself as the authorized person to act on behalf of the business, so you're the one signing it, or perhaps there's another individual within your organization that's better suited to field these kind of filings and questions. So again, if we look at our fact pattern again down here, we have John again. He's a mechanic and he hires this law firm to help with his divorce. So the total legal fees were $12K. John went to his bank and he withdrew $12,000 in cash in hundreds, and then he went to the law firm and he paid the bill. So that's the fact pattern we're working with here when we're filling out this 8300. So again, we got John's information up there, his driver's license as the identifying piece, the law firm's information down here in part 4, and the law firm also completes part 3 to basically fill out, how much they received and what was the purpose of the payment. Okay, and then of course it should be signed by either the CEO or a managing member, or managing partner, or somebody at the business that's authorized to sign contracts on behalf of the company. So in this case, we have the fake law firm PLC. Jane Doe is our managing member, so she's dating this. Her title is there, contact number, print out the name, and then she would sign this, and then you can print it out and mail it. So that covers it on the form. Just to highlight some of the penalties here, they're quite severe. Like a lot of IRS forms, there are pretty stiff penalties for failing to file the form outright, or filing the form and doing it completely wrong, either intentionally or unintentionally. So penalties can get upwards of $25,000 for intentional or willful disregard to file. So if you know you have to do this and you're just flat out ignoring it and you're trying to avoid the reporting, you're looking at a $25K penalty. And in certain cases, although albeit rare, willful violators can face potential criminal penalties. Criminal prosecution by the DOJ can occur for, you're looking at up to 5 years in jail, or you're looking at $250K or $500K in fines, depending on the structure of your business. So pretty severe, stiff penalties. Lesson learned here is if you're going to receive cash, make sure you're filing these forms. A lot of companies flat out do not take cash because they don't want to deal with these kind of filings. And that's understandable, right? So they just turn away any kind of cash payment like this and say, no, you got to write us a check or send us a wire transfer or do something so we don't have to file this 8300 form. If you're in a cash-intensive business, be mindful of these rules. But again, it's only payments exceeding 10K. So if you're a coffee shop and you're getting payments for $5 here, $10 there for coffee orders, obviously this is not going to be a problem for you. You're not going to have people coming in and spending $12,000 on a cup of coffee. So, so that covers it. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next video. Thank you.